Thanks. And my other friend here, Nirmal Wave. Yeah, he's a new friend of mine. And oh, by the way, I have to also say formally, what these guys are. So Devdut, he's the VP of data science at ShareChat. And my friend Nirmal is the chief data scientist at PlayPower Labs. Now, Nirmal is just completely immersed in anything to do with educational technologies, right? Whether it is, mining them, analyzing data, creating products, solutions, you name it. If it is anything to do with ed tech, Nirmal is interested. Okay, he's interested. He's already gotten me interested just because I had one conversation with him that we've now started working together. So thank you again, Nirmal, for accepting to be on this. Um,
Yeah, really great to be here.
Thank you so much. So I also want to, apologize on behalf of the third friend of mine who couldn't make it because of a personal family emergency. I hope that it resolves itself well, and things are going to be well at his end. Okay, so then let's get started with the panel. So this panel, we believe, the topic is, hopefully of great interest to young engineers, right? So the question that we are trying to ask is, what do AI companies expect from a young engineer? Okay, so I'm going to ask this question, to my two friends, and they are going to probably, so the way we are going to format this is that I'll first, let Devdut speak, give his whole, ideas about what he's been doing and how he thinks of this. Then we'll go to Nirmal, and then after that, we'll ask them some questions, and as we go along the way, we will of course love to get questions from the audience, which we will again ask them. Okay, so with that, Devdut, yes. So so maybe you can start by telling us, what AI-based work your company does, and what are the skill sets you're looking for? Because and the reason for asking this question in such a way is because AI and ML really mean a number of things to a number of people, and we know that if there are two people who are both doing AI, they may not be able to talk to each other because they're doing very different things, right? So maybe you could just help for you to set the context for all of us. So go ahead, Devdut, take it.
Sure. Thanks, Amit, once again for having me. So I have around 15 minutes, or do we keep it interactive as
Yeah,
we
so
go?
so say 10 to 12 minutes, but go ahead.
10 to
Go ahead.
12
Don't worry
minutes.
about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll probably give you an idea first about a little bit about what ShareChat is. I mean, I'm not sure how much
Yes, please. Yes, please.
everybody here in the audience is aware.
Yes.
And then we'll talk about what kind of AI teams exist in
Yes,
ShareChat and
please.
what are the applications that are there where we apply AI. And finally, I'll get to the question around what kind of skill sets would are we looking for, at least for our company when we hire ML engineers and ML scientists, right? So
Yep.
okay, so very high level introduction about ShareChat and Moj. So ShareChat and Moj, these are two social media platforms, have grown really fast. Both of them combined have over 300 million monthly active users today. Um, ShareChat is sort of the first application from the company. It is an application which is what we call is a regional social media network, right? So in a sense that when like ShareChat got launched around 7 to 8 years back, with where at that time, if you look at India's internet population was restricted to largely the English speaking audience, right? And thanks to the data prices dropping and so on, there was a new wave of users who were coming online for the first time, who were very different from the first generation users in the sense that their entire content consumption was in their own native languages, right? In the Indic languages. And so that was one thing. But even in terms of their tastes in content was very different, because this was a very different socioeconomic segment of our population, right? And as individuals, our tastes in content are shaped by who we are, what our upbringing has been, and so on. And so, like when they started using ShareChat, the kind of trends and that used to come and even today happen on ShareChat is quite unique to the platform, and as compared to the other social media platforms, right? So that's one. The other thing from a technical perspective is fairly early on, ShareChat launched what we call as AI first feed, right? And every social media platform uses AI and machine learning to develop the feed, and all of both ShareChat and Moj are essentially feed products, right? So the products are nothing but a feed of content, right? And in the case of ShareChat, short videos and images, and in case of Moj, it's just a short video application. So as a new user, as you walk in, you would see a lot of content which is trending and which is popular, and then very quickly we try to personalize it basis your actions, right? What you like, share, watch, and so on and so forth. And this was a departure, at least early on, from the other social media platforms, in the sense that did not require social connections to happen for you to be able to consume content and have a compelling feed, right? So unlike other platforms where uh, any piece of content that lands on your feed has something to do with your social connection, the people that you follow, or friends and other connections. They either create it or like it, and that's how it lands on your feed. Of course, there's a lot of ML that goes on into ranking and which ordering the content, but like the universe of content that could land on your feed is restricted by the connections that you have on the platform, right? And ShareChat created this platform where you don't need connections, and it's also important from a creator standpoint. So essentially, this product is a marketplace of content creators and consumers, right? Where you're connecting the content creators and helping them have the right reach. So in most social media platforms, what tends to happen is if you're a content creator and you want to have reach, you'll probably need a few million followers, and then you'll get gratified, right? But that is easier said than done. And of course, if you're not a celebrity, getting to a million followers could be very hard. So here, like, our content creators loved it, because what we expect is them to only focus on content creation of high quality, and the platform does the matchmaking by figuring out like which content needs to go to which individual, right? And so that was the entire premise and principle based on which ShareChat was created. And last year we launched Moj after it's almost like an opportunistic entry after the TikTok application got banned. And we sort of like launched the application within 30 hours. We went to the top of the Play Store within 4 days and all of that. So that's a little bit about ShareChat and Moj. These are two social media platforms, content platforms, right? And what role does AI got to play in all of this, right? So as I said, I mean, like feed ranking, right, is one of the main pillars of the product. So if you look at the two products, they're nothing but the feed, right? You continue consuming content, and you get more and more personalized content, right? So how does the feed work? Is what the AI team is up to. Like that's one very large part of our investment, pretty much. So we have 100-member team now. And incidentally, we have also like started hiring internationally, because right now, like in remote work setting, it does not matter. Like most of the people in India are also spread out. They are no longer in Bangalore. They are working from their own hometowns and like sometimes remote villages as well. So we thought, why not? Like AI talent is hard to get, so why not open up the top of the funnel We now have people joining us from UK, US, Russia, Slovakia,
Wow,
Greece. So different countries, like one or two people tuning in and joining us in this journey. So we spoke about feed. So feed ranking is something which is our specialty. Like we work a great deal on large scale recommendation systems, like
I was
largely
going to ask.
learning based.
Good.
Um, a very strong focus on how do you get to real time machine learning, in a sense that even the models are getting trained in real time, right? So every time you watch a video on ShareChat and Mons, an event gets triggered which says that how, like whether you watch the video completely or how many seconds did you watch, and that updates the embedding that you have for the user, for you, as well as for the post, right? And all of this happens in real time across billions of impressions. This update takes place, and that is the secret sauce of how things become very, very effective, right? So there's a lot of focus on how do you do online learning at large scale, right? Then there's a lot of focus on different multi-objective optimization problems in recommendation systems. So if you look at um, so we have four parties within our system, right? So we have the content creator, the content consumer, of course, the platform, and the advertisers, right? So each of these parties have a certain goal, and like their goals are at loggerheads with each other, right? So how do you sort of balance off the goals between content consumer and content creator, between advertiser and content consumption, and so on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a quick interjection, just to make sure that I follow. So I got the content creators and the consumers and the advertisers. What
Yeah.
what is the fourth?
The fourth one is the platform itself, us as a
What is
platform.
platform? As in just your
Sense.
platform, right?
Yeah, our platform. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So,
Got it.
yeah, so like if you look at like even from a consumer standpoint, right? I mean, we have different kinds of content, which is, let's say, like one of the good things about ShareChat is like there's a very long tail of content genres that are available on the platform, right? So people come in to find shareable content. So all of the content that lands on your WhatsApp groups, like good morning and jokes and memes, uh, most of them originate from ShareChat, right? So that's what was the initial use case for ShareChat. Like people, the founders had this intuition that hey, India has a great appetite for sharing content, and where does the content come from? And then they created ShareChat basis that. But then the use cases have extended to like entertaining content, to educational content, news, current affairs, education, like your astrology, devotion, agriculture, like everything under the sun, right? So now one of the questions is that, hey, like there are different actions, right? I mean, if you optimize for share, you would get more shareable content. If you optimize for time spent, you'll get more entertaining content. So what's a good mix, right? And ultimately, as a platform, you want the user to retain and come back again and again and spend more time. But which of the actions do you optimize for, right? Which, how much importance do you give to a share versus a like versus a watch in order to maximize retention? So how do you work backwards of longer term feedback to which you cannot optimize for directly in machine learning models to understand how much of importance do you give to actions which are directly optimized by your machine learning model? So that's an interesting problem itself. So there
And
are
perhaps,
yeah,
and perhaps you could also optimize per user.
per user. Yeah. So this is contextually
Somebody likes
done.
more educational, you may want to optimize, that person for that versus, right? So this is another dimension to the problem,
Yeah,
essentially.
so of course the models, so you have these cascade, so the entire feed ranking architecture is a cascaded relevance ranking model, right? So there you start from, so at any point in time you have millions of posts in your repository, right? And the first stage in feed ranking is a scalable vector search, which is like given the user's representation, you're searching for relevant posts which are mapped onto the same embedding space. And then you get to a second stage model which makes use of hundreds of features, and the third stage model which makes use of thousands of features. And at each stage, you also have multiple models which are optimizing for each of these actions, right? Like, share, and so on. And then the thing that I was talking about, balancing different objectives, is how much of it do you give to a share versus a like candidate, and so on. So that's about feed ranking, and it can go on and on. But like, for the interest of time, so advertising. So we monetize through ads. So ad relevance again is a matching problem of matching the right user to the right ad. That's again recommendation system. So between feed and ads, we are very deep into relevance and recommendation systems. So that's largely the skill set, one of the skill sets that we hire for.
And just to kind of again just just to reconfirm and so remind myself and ourselves is that, and all of this content is not just in English, but in fact what's really challenging is that most of this is in local Indian languages. Is that
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's where, like, that's what the application stand for. So the ShareChat and Moj apps are available across 15 Indian languages.
brilliant? Yeah, please continue. Yeah. Yeah.
So we invest in recommendation systems, and to your point, the next area of focus is content understanding, right? So when a new content gets created, how do you do the initial targeting and matchmaking to the right set of users, right? So the recommendation system models, all the models that I was talking about that exploit user interactions, are very good once you have a reasonable number of impressions on that content, right? Maybe a 500, 1,000 impressions. But the initial set of impressions, how do you make sure that those are also targeted? Because the early life cycle of a post is very crucial. And that's where our content understanding models come along, where these are multimodal machine learning models which process audio, visual, and text data, and audio and text across all the 15 Indian languages.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. So let me pause you right here because that's like a huge challenge from at least I remember from way back when, because of the lack of availability of data in local Indian languages, right? So that's one big constraint. So while you answer that one, I just also want to say, so from the creator's point of view, do you also kind of collect enough metadata to help you along the way? How does that go?
Yeah, so like, we on the ShareChat app, I mean, ShareChat started a few years back, right? As you can imagine. So there, at least the initial few years, we were reliant on tags, right, and metadata for doing a lot of the initial tagging. So the tagging ecosystem is quite mature on ShareChat, and we
I see.
do have some reliance, but we gradually sort of tapering off reliance on creator added metadata because it could be very noisy, right?
Sure.
And
Sure.
on Moj, we are 100% off, like, we do not have any reliance on hashtags, right? So it's absolutely machine learned semantics of the content. So that when the
Wow.
video gets created, you map it onto a set of topics which the model understands. And that takes care of the initial sort of matchmaking. And then from there on, it just is basis user interactions and the deep collaborative filtering model. So there's no reliance whatsoever on hashtags or metadata of any kind, right? So it's all done by machines.
So fantastic. So maybe you can just say in a few words, what are the skill sets that your company actually looks for?
Yeah, so let me just take one more minute and I'll ask,
Yes, please.
get to that question. So content understanding is very
Yes.
crucial for understanding semantics of content, also for moderation, which is a very important area to detect content which violates our policies. So that's again where
Oh, yeah.
multimodal machine learning is important. And the fourth area is on camera and video AI, where we are looking at developing on-device machine learning capabilities to add a little bit of a jazz to our creation and the camera and the video editing workflows, right? As you can imagine, a lot of computer vision and AR models that exist that make your camera look good. And then finally, large-scale ML platforms to support all of this. So as I mentioned, like, we have tens of millions of people tuning in every hour. So how do you support all of these feed algorithms and at scale, right? So we have a large scale team, large scale ML platforms team, which develops feature stores and model serving platforms and so on. So coming to your question on skill set, so the way we look at it is we have three competencies, right, which are carefully looked at when hiring, right? So one competency, of course, is deep learning, machine learning, probability statistics. So it's sort of a machine learning competency. Second competency is the core computer science competency, where like not just coding design, but also because we deal with very large scale data and large scale, so distributed systems and backend technologies. And third is on product thinking, experimentation design, slicing data the right way, right? So the business thinking part of it, right? So any good hire, so what we call an ML engineer, like a true blue ML engineer checks off all of these boxes, right? If you are checking off at least two out of these three and you're above average in two out of the three, that's also a very good hire, right? And then of course you have specialist roles who are specializing in one and probably uh, they know enough in the other competencies, right? So in terms of job families, we have these different job families: ML scientists, decision scientists, right, which specialize on the product analytics and that competency, and then backend engineers, which are on the CS competency. And then ML engineers is sort of an all-rounder who are above average in multiple of these competencies. Those are some of the skill sets that we look at. In terms of areas within machine learning, as I said, relevance and recommendation systems is really our bread and butter, right? And then we have a lot of hiring also on computer vision and speech and NLP. Uh, like out of the three, I think computer vision is more important, uh, but we do have some hiring on speech and NLP as well.
Thanks a lot, Dip. Thanks for that opening statement. Over to you, Nirmal.
Yeah, I can also share something to begin with. I'll share a little bit about Play Power Labs. And thanks, Devdu. That was really interesting to learn about, like, the whole idea of ShareChat and the whole AI based. It's really interesting. I think quite distinct. So thanks for sharing that. And so our company is at this point we're an edtech services company, and so in some ways we help other big education technology companies as consultants, similar to TCS or other big consulting companies of India. And we work with companies from different places. Recently, we started working with Ministry of Education in CBSE, and we have been doing a lot of different things with many organizations. And in our company, given that we are consultants, we get many different types of projects. And so it's a very interesting to that to succeed in this kind of consulting business, we need to know many different things. A project might not last that long, might last for some time, etc. So I think it's a slightly different orientation, where you do a project for some time, then you do another project, and you end up learning a lot, though, which is amazing, because all these different projects require different things.
Learning about
um,
learning.
yeah.
Sorry. Sure.
Okay, so I just have the questions. So I think the first one was what AI-based work your company does, and I think that's we have done. So I have three different areas, and so I think one is around just core educational AI, or I would say intelligent tutoring systems, or building systems where they are adaptive to students, their needs, and provide them personalized learning. So I think that is one area. And then another area is purely around education statistics, where we have done a lot of studies, evaluation studies, understanding what works, working with school districts, for example, working with board like CBSE board. So I think that's a second area. And the third and relatively very new area for us is also computer vision now, where we are trying to do actually handwriting analysis of student learning data from paper, and we are seeing this also as a very interesting opportunity at this point. And so I can go a little bit deeper into each of these. And
Yeah. So just a quick interjection. So when you say handwriting analysis, it's more to understand the what is written, right? Just to understand.
I think it involves several things. One is to just to be able to decode what's written, and then at some point to be able to also actually give automated feedback to the students, whether they've done it correctly, whether they've done not correctly. And so
Please
I
continue.
think, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Um, so just around, I think, a personalized learning algorithms, and we have worked a lot of with many different scientists, I think, over time, and we've also seen many different approaches. You see many different approaches work and in not work, and some. And so I think overall, what we have learned is that in education, explainable AI or explainable user models or explainable systems are more likely to succeed and be accepted widely, because teachers and students and a lot of stakeholders can have trust in them. So that has been very interesting. And a lot of this research happens around first understanding how people learn, how concepts are acquired. And so it has certain relation with cognitive science as well, which is quite interesting, that some of the models are inspired by cognitive science theories, while there are computational models also in education which are not at all inspired by any cognitive science theory, purely computational models. And so I think there are many different possibilities with this. And of course, I think a lot of this is also linked with experimentation. And so just understanding how different kinds of personalized learning algorithms have different effects on students. And so I think a lot of our AI research is also tied to just the core A/B testing and randomized control trials, where we're trying to evaluate that the new ways of that we are developing are actually effective. So yeah.
So quick, quick interruption, interjections. So just wonder, so suppose if I imagine an intelligent tutoring system, right? So can you hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you. Can you please?
Okay. So if I imagine an intelligent tutoring system, right? So the tutoring system is intelligent in the sense that it adapts to the learner, right?
Yes, yes.
And but at the same time, ideally, in the either you already have it or what you would like to have is you also want to understand the psychological or the learning profile of this human being to which you need to adapt.
Yes, and so there is a whole class of something called latent variable models that help us model the latent traits that you cannot directly measure, but they still reside in the person's mind. And so it's quite theory driven algorithms, and in certain areas, it has to theory driven will be more appropriate in certain areas, or more acceptable to certain people, even though it might not be more accurate, and which is also something quite interesting. Um,
That's very interesting. Please continue.
yeah, so I think the second area is just around education statistics, and just to share what we are doing with CBSE is we are doing cheating analysis, and so we are analyzing data from national tests, trying to find whether there were any attempts of cheating, and all this happens using different types of latent variable models, which I just described, and several other types of algorithms, and they're all very specific to education statistics and measurement science. And actually the ways to develop assessments, and so algorithms that help in developing assessments, or models that help in developing assessments. So a lot of this, and for example, just one of the or a couple of things are classical test theory, item response theory, are some ways people model how students take tests, their ability, the difficulty of the questions, and discrimination, or how well the questions are actually formed. So all of these, and then there are several things related to quality of the assessment. So I think a lot of this research, and this happens a lot at different NGOs that are doing the testing, different government organizations that are organizing large scale tests, and they have to use these. So oftentimes we are called as consultants to help them develop these things, and that's where we have to learn these methods. Um, and just lastly, on computer vision, there is of course a great deal that's to do there in the computer vision. And yeah, so we definitely have a lot going on, and mostly around the opportunity to understand how students learn on paper. So that's something where we find that it's an unexplored area.
So, sorry, another quick question. So, do you also, right now or maybe later on, also include the possibility of Indian languages when people are, like, doing handwriting and stuff?
Yes, I think as we collect data, and you rightly pointed out, I think that data, I think data is, is the important thing. And, I would also would like to talk about data centric AI later on. But I think
Okay.
it is the most important thing, I believe, is just getting clean, organized data that you can use, that's big enough for you to train your models. So,
Okay. So, in terms of the skill sets, what would you say? What are the skill sets that you're looking for in your company, Nirmal?
just give me one quick moment. I have to
Sure.
close the door.
So, this Indian language is a nice, common, distinctive theme in both your company and his company, right? It's pretty interesting. And just like you're working with a lot of Indian data, so is Nirmal working with a lot of Indian data. Please go ahead, Nirmal. Yes. So
Yeah,
what are the
so
skill sets that you're looking for, in a young engineer who would want to join your
sure.
company?
Yeah, so to mention some of these, I think the first one is around critical thinking with data, and trying to relate real world events with data, and understanding, I think, how data originates. And I think it's really to do more with. I think that's the skill set that I definitely look for, because I think one of the first starting points to start any data project at our company is to understand the data generation process. And I think it's really related to some of the sort of more education related projects that we do. And because oftentimes the data, we're trying to find how data reflects student abilities. And if you don't understand how data are generated, you can't ask English question on maths test. And so I think that way understanding how data were generated helps understand education data better. And so I think that's definitely one of the things. And just critical thinking with this cheating analysis, for example, you have to be really sharp to find out all the odd things in the data. And and then I think as we are consultants, I think we get a lot of different types of projects. So predictive modeling, just like feature based predictive modeling methods are just the basic ones, because so many projects we get, like the sample size is small. We don't have a lot of data to train on, so we just rely with small sample methods, including logistic regression is a perfectly fine method for us in some projects. So yeah. And but other than that, I think the more knowledge of science or cognitive science people have, I think they feel really great working with some of these educational AI aspects, which is heavily influenced by cognitive science. So
Okay, thanks a lot, both of you, yeah, for this opening statement. So okay, I'm going to say that it would be lovely if you guys, and I'm really opening this up, and this is everything now is henceforth addressed to both of you, yeah. So so let's say there is lots of young engineers listening to you, watching you right now, and listening to you guys. So how would you give them some specific advice on how they would how can they prepare themselves to become, let's say, valuable to your companies, right? How, because if I think of a young student, and I'm glad I'm no longer a young student today, but like the number of options and the number of technologies is daunting. Should I learn NLP? Should I do deep learning? Should I do learning theory? What should I do, right? How do I get started? So can you give some some practical advice, how somebody can actually go about preparing themselves for a career in AI, especially young people, not people who are like doing their PhDs, but imagine somebody who's in their second and third year and they are really trying to make a place in the world. Go ahead.
Yep. So I am actually honestly amazed by the kind of projects young engineers do, right?
True.
Even
True.
like by the second or the third year,
Oh
I
yeah.
see resumes that have 10 internships. And I think the more remote we go, students are, I guess, multitasking their lectures and with internships, and so that's great. I think honestly, uh, when we look at people, there of course, or any kind of learning, there's two dimensions, right? The theoretical dimension and like actually sort of the understanding comes through when you start applying it on a
Yes.
project, and you demonstrate a project, and if it's a research project, or it could be writing competition, or something of that sort, right? So I think both dimensions are equally important, right? We do look for uh, like a good foundational knowledge, right? You don't, we'll probably not test young engineers too deep, but at least a good knowledge of ML foundations, right? All the foundational techniques, and whether they know the theoretical aspects of that. That's number one. The number two is, of course, like if there's a lot of these internship projects, or like where it could be research projects as well, like people reach out to other professors outside their institute wherever there's a research project opening. They really get their hands dirty, and that part is very useful, because today there are so many different toolkits, right?
Yes.
And the applied knowledge of using those toolkits to build something end to end, right from data preparation to model building to deployment. That end-to-end exposure is very important, and that comes through when you do such internships, you do research projects with professors, and so on. And so I think both aspects, you need to strike a balance, right? So there's no golden rule, but both are important, and I would encourage everyone to pay attention to both aspects.
Okay. So just before I perhaps, yeah, go ahead, Nirmal, and then maybe I'll ask the question to both of you. Go ahead, Nirmal. Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, I have an amusing quote from a book called All of Statistics by a professor at CMU. And in the beginning of the book, the quote is, learn how to do band-aid before trying the brain surgery. so,
Yeah.
so I would urge all of the students to learn definitely the basics of data analysis, so that they don't feel trapped in some project where somebody sends them an Excel sheet and they have to analyze it. I think understanding that's like, tabular data analysis, I believe, is like, something that at least in, what we do, like, it's really needed. And then, yeah, I mean, then you have the entire open field. And I think what I've seen is one of the things that I've kind of found is that, and this I've often read, right, that data scientists spend a lot of time just managing data and just small amount of time running algorithms. And so I think getting a good sense of different types of data formats, and so some companies will work mostly with tabular data, some with, like, I mean, they do mention, right, so many different image data, the very different formats versus sound data versus. So I think, like, at the beginning, like, just text data, I think just getting an idea of how to handle different type of data, I think can give a good deal of, like, an ability to try out different things, feel at ease in different kind of situations, and not feel that I can't do anything on this project. Of course you can learn different algorithms, but I think familiarity of be able to work with the data, you know I think is generally, I think it's really important. And I think, like, just being able to have this basic skills of data analysis, so that you can, because I think really the data is more about being scientific, more about being, in certain situations, I think. And that's where what we found is that you have to make decisions based on data, for example, or make conclusions based on data, like writing some research paper. And so I think understanding how to make those conclusions, understanding the things about even basic things like comparing two means, are they statistically same or different, or things like that. So I think those kind of things I found, they make you
Fantastic.
feel at ease, I think, in many
Okay.
different situations.
So this is interesting. So what I hear both of you saying is that the basically the appreciation of fundamentals, statistics, just like we start, instead of worrying about whether we can do this, run this complex algorithms. It's very, very important. Both of you have stressed this. that we get some really sound understanding of the basic principles involved. That's really a must for all of these students. Okay, so I get that. So now my next question is, and this could be a potential source of confusion, is I see, so many things, people talking about Python, or some of them talking about passionate about R, and other people talking about all other things. So how does and again, so one other thing which both of you are saying is that, of course, that they have to have hands-on, getting your hands dirty on any project with anything is any experience, right? Direct experience is of great value. I get that, right? Maybe the next question I would ask is, so how is there a recommendation, or is there something, whether should I do Python, should I do C, should I do R, in terms of dealing with all this data? Do you have any rules of thumb, or any guidance, or any tips of how students should go about selecting or choosing or deciding?
I think, see, like as the saying goes, the programming language does not really matter. I mean, like the logical thinking and ability to uh, code is matters. That the language does not. But having said that, I think we have moved. Like what is also important is where the world is moving, right? And if like 10 years back, all the libraries were written in Java, right?
Yep.
So you cannot be a like if you're choosing some other language where there's no support from the ecosystem,
Yes.
you will
Yes.
find it very hard, right? So it is very important. So the world, like at least the machine learning world, is moving towards Python.
Okay.
Coding in Python is important because that would enable you to use a lot of libraries which the ecosystem is providing to you to make your life much more productive, right? So from that standpoint, I mean, like Python as a language does not matter, but because of
Understood.
the ecosystem that is backing it and most of the libraries that are available, like a working knowledge of Python and all the data processing libraries that come alongside. And of course, now the world has moved to deep learning. So definitely, I would encourage at least knowledge of one deep learning framework, whether it's TensorFlow or PyTorch. Um,
Okay.
get
Okay.
skilled in one of them.
Okay. Nerul, what's your pick? Thanks, Nerul.
Yeah, I think Devdus is completely right about like Python being, because like all of the machine learning, even when we so and it's interestingly that more of our work is on the statistic side, but
Mm-hmm.
it's very similarly we use R, and just probably because there is a large ecosystem of packages that allow us to do different statistical analysis easily. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think even though R itself is a slow language and on back end everything is written in C++, people choose to use because of that community and so much software just out there available to make your life easy. And I think that's what you need when you have to get a project done. So right. Yeah. So I
Okay.
think it's more domain specific, that like for machine learning, absolutely, I also feel that Python has is pretty much the standard thing. And for statistical analysis, I've found it's for specifically for education statistics, there's so many packages we use are simply not available in Python, so we just so I think it's very different thing, and different communities have their different needs. But
Fantastic.
these are
So,
two very big ones, and to survive really well, you need to, it's good to, if you know both.
sure, sure, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, of course, we want
Being
we want
flexible
students
is
to.
very important, right?
Yes,
Being
yes,
flexible and like, see, if you know one language, you can pick up the any other language very fast. So, and languages will come and go. So, the skill of coding trumps everything. That is the foundational thing. And
yes.
then you pick up everything based on the kind of projects that you're taking on, or you should be flexible to pick up any language.
Okay. So, so do you have any other tips? For example, so let's say there are often I come across students who really want to work on projects, right? And of course, there are lots of internship programs nowadays than there were even 5 years back, a little, even 3 years back, right? There's a really a major thing that's coming up. But can you, so what if somebody is, a student in a slightly remote part and does not have access to these things? um, how should that person really go about, teaching himself or herself some of these things? I mean, how does, any thoughts, any pointers would just be helpful.
Yeah, so I think being relentless to find research opportunities or internships is very important. I mean,
Yes.
ultimately, if you're relentless, now you have all the power of LinkedIn and other social media platforms to do reach out to people who have internships, and also like doing some kind of projects on, let's say you have Kaggle, you have coding competition. So like getting some, I think, social mileage around, like if you're coding, like, or, I don't know, competitive coding competition winner or a Kaggle competition winner, that counts on your resume, that helps you get that first internship, that first research project. You'll catch the eye of someone, some researcher, and then you make most of it, and then you build on top of that, right? So that's like, it's just a drive and being relentless, which is important, right? And
Thank you so
there
much.
are all sort of opportunities. I think if you reach out, I'll call out. So this, I'm part of this IKDD community, and we've launched one program specifically for undergraduate students, right, where they are connected to top professors in IITs and IICs, right? And the idea is that you have like students from other institutes who may not have exposure or
Excellent.
mentorship to do world-class research. We are trying to act as a mediator to connect them to the right set of people. So
Yeah,
make
that's a
use.
brilliant effort, by the way. That's a brilliant effort, and thank you for actually mentioning that. And although I'm hoping, and again, as somebody at a university, I'm also hoping that in next year and so on, you will have even more professors, hopefully willing on to take students. So you will be able to get many more professors to join that. But yes,
Yeah.
please get it. Yeah, yeah. Thanks. So I have yeah. So maybe okay. So that's becoming clear. So anybody on the call right now? Any other questions from anyone? We are opening it up to everybody to ask questions of Devdut and Nirmal. Don't be shy. Although I know you really want to go home, but
Hello,
perhaps
Mr.
yes, please.
Myself Ketki Pathak, and I'm also working at my college in training and placement cell.
Okay,
And nowadays, in every college, internship criteria is must. Means people are going for 6 months internship. So I want to ask both of our experts that
okay.
now people are want to develop their career in AI, deep learning, machine learning, and so on. But basically, what they are facing when they are going for internship, they are only asked for some expertise of Python programming and working as sir has mentioned that statistical analysis. So before going for internship or before make them aware how they should prepare themselves, because many companies are taking their aptitude, then their internship technical interview in which they are giving some database and then they will have to solve their query, and then after they have to get acquainted. So in that case, how this can be possible, means what advice you should give, suppose they want to enroll in the pure AI based solution provider company in which Python they are learning in their curriculum also. But apart from that, statistical analysis they are not supposed to learn at BTech curriculum. And then after they are supposed to go with only project, hands-on project. So it is advisable that they will have to do a mini project sort of thing before they go for interview as a resume. Is it is expected or not?
Yeah. So yeah, please go ahead, Devdut, Nirmal, whoever wants to take it, and then I'll probably have a thing to say.
Yeah, I think adding projects definitely do help. And as Nirmal was also talking about this fact that data analysis is a core skill, right? I mean, coding SQL, the ability to pull up data to massage data, and some basic statistical analysis on top of that data. These are very core tenets in any project which will involve machine learning, right? So these foundations are very important, and hence are checked. So I'm sure there are many open courses on all of these subjects that people can take a look at to get adequately prepared if these are getting tested in the internship interviews. And should have.
So thanks, Debut. There's also a question here which I'm just going to read from the chat. Can an engineer of another field, that means not software, not computer science, apply deep learning in a project easily? That's a question. Devdut, Nirmal?
Depends on what you call easy. But I think, like, with, I mean, I would say that given the libraries that are available today, with some difficulty you might be able to achieve that. Because, like, we have, I mean, just as a recently we hired somebody who did bachelor and masters in electronics, but still that person learned and applied deep learning somewhere. So I think it's possible. But yeah, but they would maybe as other.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the support that we have in GitHub and the libraries and that ecosystem is so very mature that you don't have to write code like from scratch a lot of times, right? But having said that, what is also very important for people from non-computer science backgrounds is to learn coding. And when I say coding, it just means the ability to translate your thoughts into an algorithm, right? And put it down in a programming language. That is a core skill which is important in any kind of a software project, be it machine learning or no machine learning. That is necessary if you need to collect data, massage data, feed it into any framework. The core skills of like that core coding skills or elementary coding skills you would need. So that needs to be picked up uh, for non-CS.
I have a raised hand from Arya Jyoti Dev. So Arya, you want to ask now? Arya Jyoti Dev, you have raised your hand. Please unmute yourself and ask.
Sir, I'm Hemalata.
Yes, Hemlata, there's another raised hand. Okay, so Hemlata, you can go first. Then Arya
Yeah,
can go. Yeah, let's go ahead.
yeah. Thanks for the opportunity. Basically, I'm a college engineering college faculty. All that I just want to get some tip like like everywhere it is being spoken that internship training all those things at the student point of view
Mhm.
and it is basically the teacher who is no, inculcating things inside a very fresh blank slate student coming out after 4 years.
Correct.
It's just no, I don't know whether I am right asking in this forum, but still a very
Yes.
lingering question in my head coming out.
Yes, please.
Is there any way in which we teachers can be enhanced? Something towards the enhancement of the teacher could be done. Well, like everywhere it is no any company, any whatever it is, the focus is only on the product, the student. But the raw material is the faculty, I believe so. Like, will there be anything addressed towards this edge? Sir, if I don't know whether I'm right, but it's a
Yeah,
question
so
from my side.
let me take this. This is a university question, so I'll take a stab at it, and then I'll let Devdut and Nirmal chime in. So in some sense, ma'am, what I think is, and you're right, right? I mean everything, and I went to college a long time ago, and all of what I learned is actually practically out of the window by now. So I think that it is the onus is on us to keep learning, just like we are no different from any of the students in our classes. Okay, only thing is that we are supposed to be more mature than they are. But in terms of the time and effort that would go in terms of learning new languages, these platforms, doing projects, actually we have to sit side by side them by next to them and learn it and I personally don't see any other simpler way out of it. Okay, but I'll let Devdut and Nirmal comment if they have any other further things to say.
No, I think that can't be a better answer. I mean, the same applies to industry practitioners who are like 10, 15, 20 years into the field. There is no end to learning. And I think they like one of the things which helps, and I'm glad like Amit moving into academia after industry. I mean, such kinds of switchovers help like bring ideas from both academia and industry together. I mean, one of the things is also as students internships, right? If India has a good culture of research and academic partnerships, that is another way for academics also to become relevant and be aware of industry skills, right? So there are joint projects where the student is an intern, but the professor is also involved, right? And in building out the system, so they also get acquainted with what industry wants. And of course, the industry partners can benefit from the academics and be aware of the latest state of the art and so on.
Thanks. Okay, we don't have time, but I think Arya has raised his or her hand for quite a while. So if you're back and you can hear me, perhaps we'll let you ask a question, and then otherwise we'll close the session. Arya Jyoti Dev.
I'm here, sir. Sorry for the
No problem.
network issue.
No problem.
Yeah.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. The question is,
We
yes,
lost
sir.
you, Arya. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, now you are. Now you are. Please go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Arya.
Or maybe they can type the
Yes,
question.
sir. Okay.
Yeah, Arya, you can
So,
go.
sir, I am a PhD scholar. Yes, sir. Okay. So, what I'm saying is, I'm a PhD scholar in a Swiss and laboratory in Bhubaneswar.
Yes, I lost you
Sir,
again.
my voice is clear? Hello?
Yeah, I could hear that you're a PhD scholar in Bhubaneswar, and after that I lost you.
Okay, fine, sir. So, sir, I'm doing my research in computer vision and in an industrial instrumentation device. So basically, what I'm doing is I'm applying CNN and all using MATLAB and Python. And I'm using TensorFlow for that. So, and I'm in my in my fourth year of PhD right now. I want to complete and I want to go to industry to have some other way of living. So my question to the panelist and to all, sir, what are the skills in specific? Means, let's say I'm using MATLAB deep learning toolbox and TensorFlow and Keras. These three I'm using, and I'm learning PyTorch right now. So what are the specific, let me means to go to any GAFAM like of company, you know, any MNC, American MNC, or any good country, any good companies, all. So what are the skills in specifics? Should I go for Azure? Should I go for Apache? Should I go for any other things? So any specific suggestions, sir? That will be my question is that, sir.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
let me just take a quick stab at it based on what Devdut and Nirmal have been saying, right? Number one is it's great that you know these tools, you're on the right track, but at the same time, depending on the project and the work that the company does, they will expect you to learn more things, right? So if you learn Azure from Microsoft and you say some other company is going to be using AWS or some other thing, then the whole idea is that you will have to pick that up, right? So stay nimble, stay flexible,
Okay.
learn as many technologies as you can, but there will never be the role. Now I know these three, so I will get this job, or I just need to learn this five more. There'll never be any answer of that kind, right?
Okay.
So what you're doing is fantastic. I mean, you know, MATLAB, you're all on the right track, right? And so you will learn. You'll apply for jobs. You will learn. You will get better, and just keep just keep going. Just keep at it. Yeah. Anything else that Devdut and Nirmal want to add to this?
No, that's about.
Okay.
No, this
Okay,
is
thanks,
great.
Arya. I think there's one more question, but I think
So,
we're out of time.
so
Sorry about that,
basically,
Manish.
another question. So another question. So one thing, sir. So what the thing is, I'm working on computer vision, but when I check for other advertisements in some companies, then NLP and speech recognition, what one of the panelists said right now. So those have also a good amount of requirements. So should I switch to NLP right now? Means to go for better job opportunities rather than computer vision. NLP is a huge application
Yeah, so
right
if
now.
you,
As
if you,
some
yeah,
as
it depends
you
on.
are feeling something that handwriting recognition means you are. This is a both application of computer vision and NLP means you are
So, so again, I'll take a quick shot at it, and then we'll really close this.
uh,
Arya, can you hear
uh,
me?
you are applying on digit recognition and then where you are getting points. Any suggestion to that, sir? Please.
Yeah. So Arya, you should really, there are opportunities of all kinds. Whether it's NLP, AI, deep learning, even non-AI, clouds, technology. You have to figure out what you like, and then pursue it in good enough depth, and keep learning and keep on that path. Good things will happen. Okay. Good luck. Thank you.
Okay,
With
sir.
that, I again want
Thank
to
you, sir.
thank, yeah, thank you. I want to really thank sincerely Devdut and Nirmal. Thank you so much. I had a great time. Thank you so much for making the time. And I'll give the platform back to Chirag sir.
Thank you so much, Amit, for having us.
Thank
Yeah,
you guys.
thank you for having us. Okay.
Thank you, sir. It's really nice session, and I think that participants enjoyed a lot, and it looks like that because we are over timing that it's a 7:20, but it's nice session, and definitely we will have the same session or the same type of the session in future also. So thank you once again to both the panelists and the moderator, great
Hello.
moderator with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm requesting Tejal ma'am to share them e-mementos for the panelist and the moderator.
Hello, sir. Can we get that the presentation of the sessions?
Yeah, you will get it on the YouTube channel of IEEE SPS Gujarat section.
Please,
All the presentations will be available.
please give the link of that presentation in chat box.
You can go to the IEEE spsgs.org website. I'm
Oh.
writing it into the chat window, and
Okay,
you will
okay.
get all the information from that website.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
So right now we have to first of all take one quick snap
Okay.
with all panelists, and then I have to officially close the session. And before closing the session, we have exciting prizes for entire this winter school that we have to announce. So I'm requesting all the participants first of all to turn on their videos so that this last snap of this winter school can be taken. Tejal ma'am, please inform us when you are going to take the snap.
Yes, sir. Everybody, please smile. Just a minute, one more. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
all. Thank you all. Bye.
So attendance link we will share with all of you after this prize announcement. And before the prize announcement, I want to share a lot of thanks to all the speaker, starting from Dr. Sikha Gupta, our first speaker. She was research scientist at Vehan Technologies. We had Professor Gaurav Sharma from University of Rochester. We had Dr. Achin Bomik, he is the CTO and EVP Engineering Starkey. We had Professor Ashish Ghosh from ISI Kolkata. We had Dr. Manish Naravia from IIT Jodhpur, Professor PK Biswas from IIT Kharagpur, Dr. Rohit Singh, ESRI India, Dr. Mihai Detau from German Aerospace Research Establishment, and we had a wonderful panel discussion. Actually, I like this panel session a lot, in which moderator was Professor Amit Nanavati. He is from Ahmedabad University. We had a panelist, Mr. Nirmal Patel, Chief Data Scientist. We had Devdutt Mukherjee, who is the VP at the Serchet. So these were the speakers. So I am thanking all the speakers on behalf of my team. I am thanking to all the volunteers who are actively involved. I'm not going to share the name right now, but few volunteers are there who were with me throughout this event. We can say starting from Ashish, Shiv Mohan sir, we have Mita Ketki, we have Amit sir, uh, we had Arpan, we have our lab technician or that WebEx technician, what we can say, Miss Tejal Surti. Sorry if I forgot the name. One important person's name I cannot disclose over here, our quiz master, who took a lot of pain to generate the quiz. And without his help, we cannot able to do the good quiz. So that quiz is totally transparent, and it was stamp based, and it was done. I can say that very professionally. It's not based on the some Google form, and we took the quiz. It was really in the very professional manner. So thanks to the quiz master. Last but not the least, all the participants who were joined us. We had around 1,000 participants who were registered from the entire world. So thanks to all the participants. Now, the last part of the event is prize distribution. So amount I am not going to share right now. Important thing is that who is the winner. So for winner is decided based on the highest percentage scored with the minimum timestamp. That is what the criteria we took. So based on that, we have for the day one, session one, first day session one, we have. I wish that that person will turn on the video. Mustansir Sakarwala from MJ Technologies. That is the only that first prize, but it is divided among two persons. Second one, the second first prize is C. Svetlin Hemalatta. Sorry if I am pronouncing wrong. From Veller Institute of Technology, Chennai. So these are the winners for the day one session one. Second one is day one session two, Ruchi Mishra from Charotar University of Science and Technology. And the second, yeah. Hello. Okay. Second prize, or not a second prize, the said prize is going to the Sankar Parmar. He is basically from GTU, Gujarat Technological University. Day one, session three, the prize is said between Ramji Karki from Tribhuvan University, Ramji Karki from Tribhuvan University, and Anukruti Srivastava from University of Montpellier. I think that these are the members who are present over here. Day two, session one. We have Akhilesh Kumar from Triple IT Allahabad. For day 2, session 2, we have M. Janki Meena from VIT Chennai. For day 2, session 3, we have said price between Ashish Kumar Gore, who is from DDU, Dharamsi Desai University, and second, that is the said price is with the Reggie J. I don't know the name of the university of Reggie J. Is he or she available over here? Reggie J. Okay. Anyway, we will contact him or her with the help of the email ID available with us. Day 3, session 1, we have Barandi Dharan B from SRM Institute of Science and Technology. And the said with the, I don't have the name, it's a chokusikai@gmail.com, because we made it also blind that the name of the participant. Only we have email ID. Right now I have email ID because name are already said of that only the first person who has the minimum timestamp. Day 3, session 2 is Ruchi Mishra from Charotar University of Science and Technology. And it is said with the seraphine.menesis and @filcia.gov.ph. So he is from that, this guy is from the Philippines. So these are the prize winners for all the 3 days. But we have one more prize, that who is the most active participant. So we have identified most active participants on based on some criteria. So number 1 criteria is that for how many sessions that particular participant was that available and gave the test. That is one criteria. Number 2 criteria, that whether he or she is among top 10 or not, and if he or she is among top 10, then how many times he or she is among top 10. So these are the criteria on which we had identified the prizes. So based on these criteria, overall topper is Shankar Parmar. Shankar, you can turn on your video. Gentlemen, you can take a snap. And it is really proud moment that Shankar is my PhD student and good friend also.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Second one is going to Swelin Hemlatha. He is sorry, sir, he is from VIT. And third one is to Sabbir Para. I don't know the university, but third one is to Sabbir Para. So can I request Swati and Sabir to turn on their videos? Congratulations, madam. You are muted.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, madam. So this is the end of actually prize distribution. If anyone wants to share their feedback for the betterment of the program in future, they can unmute and they can share their feedback. We will be happy if you are sharing your views.
Hello.
Yeah, who is there?
Yeah, I'm Shankar here.
Yeah, Shankar.
Yeah, actually, it was really a wonderful winter school. I really appreciate all the speakers and the topics which were taken, and we have really gained too much from that. And actually, I really appreciate that diversified areas were considered, like from SAR images to multi-label classifications to you can say the human perception and all those things. So it was really interesting. Just only thing that due to online platform, we cannot have hands-on session. So if in future something like hands-on session can be incorporated, that will be really great.
Thank you, Shankar. We will take care the last feedback. It is very important. Anyone else? Any BTech student or
Hello.
yes, who is there?
Myself Pranati. I'm from Andhra Pradesh. I'm currently studying final year in Via Siddhartha Engineering College.
Yes, Pranati.
All the sessions were very well organized and diversified. We got to know a lot about handling different problems from music analysis or image analysis, from GIS tracking and different set of problems, satellite imaging and also various applications. It would be great if few hands-on sessions right from the basics would be planned in the future.
True. Actually, we will plan next time onwards hybrid event.
That would be great, sir.
Yeah.
We even get to socialize and make a few connections.
Correct.
That
Correct.
would be helpful.
True.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Sir?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, sir. Myself, Dr. Mahadev Swami from Devardhaka College of Engineering, Karnataka, Mysore.
Yes, Madhav sir.
Sir, it is very great winter school, sir. I have attended so many schools, and it is one of the best winter schools. I thank organizers and your team. I personally thank you, sir, for giving opportunity to attend this winter school. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm requesting all of you that if you are in that WhatsApp group, then don't leave the group. If in future we have some good opportunities, then we will inform you through that WhatsApp group only. And we will now that we will open that all the WhatsApp groups so that you can also share if you have any opportunity, so that we can always be interactive with each other.
Great, sir. Great. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, and participation certificate, obviously it will be there. So now our team will work for that. So Tejal ma'am and other organizers will work on it, and based on the attendance, obviously there is not a quiz criteria. So attendance, based on the attendance criteria, you will get the certificate, and you will get it at a maximum within 15 days. Okay, so thank you one and all. I want to take your leave. So on behalf of committee, again, thanks to one and all. Good night.